If you use Arch Linux or anything built on it, Manjaro, CachyOS, EndeavourOS, and you've installed anything from the AUR in the last week, I need you to pause this video after the intro and run one command. I'll give it to you because right now there's a credential stealing rootkit that has been hiding inside more than 1,500 community packages, and there's a real chance one of them is one you use. This is the Atomic Arch attack. Let's go through exactly what happened, what it does, how bad it actually is, and how to check yourself. Quick refresher for anyone new to Arch. The AUR, Arch User Repository, is not the official Arch package repo. It's a community-run collection of build scripts called package builds. Anyone can submit one. There's no review process like there is for the official core, extra, and multi-lib repos. It's basically, here's a recipe for building this software, trust the chef. That trust model is exactly what got exploited here. Here's the actual timeline, pieced together from Arch's own mailing list, Sonatype's research, and the official Arch news post. Around June 10th and 11th, attackers started taking over orphaned AUR packages. That's the official term for packages whose original maintainer abandoned them. The AUR has a built-in feature that lets a new person adopt an orphaned package. Good for keeping useful software alive. Also, apparently a great way to inherit years of user trust without doing any of the work. The attackers just didn't adopt packages quietly. On at least one high-profile case, they used commit forgery, faking the git commit metadata so the malicious change looked like it came from a known trusted maintainer. Sonatype found them spoofing a git commit data so the changes looked like they came from a long-standing maintainer, and that account was confirmed by Arch to never actually have been compromised. So to be precise, this wasn't someone's password got stolen, it was identity spoofing on top of legitimate package adoption. On June 12th, Arch developer Campbell Jones posted an official news notice. We are currently experiencing a high volume of malicious package adoptions and updates in the Arch user repository. By that point, the first wave alone was being tracked at more than 400 compromised packages. It didn't stop there. Community member Corey Nilray ran a broader search using the malware marker and found around 850 plus affected packages, with the count still actively dropping as devs removed them, and by the end of the day, all known malicious commits had been deleted, linking to a list of over 1,500 packages. Subsequent analysis put the total at approximately 1,500 packages across multiple waves. And then, just when people thought it was over, a day after Arch developers believed they had the incident under control, another, more sophisticated wave was discovered, this time using code obfuscation to better hide what it was doing. On June 13th, a community member flagged a new batch using a technique where the word bun was split across string literals, BUN, as separate strings, specifically to dodge detection. That wave hit roughly 50 more packages. So this wasn't one event, it was 3 escalating waves over about 4 days, with the attackers actively adapting to evade the community's response in real time. Okay, what does it actually do to your machine? The attackers modified the package build files or install hooks of those adopted packages. Instead of touching the actual software's code, they injected commands to silently run npm and install atomic lockfile or close variants like JS digest and lockfile.js during the install or update process. That's the clever part. The package you wanted is still the package you wanted. The malware rides in on the install script, not the software itself. The atomic lockfile npm package contains a bundled native Linux binary triggered during the pre-install phase, which deploys a second stage payload using eBPF, a Linux kernel technology that lets code run inside the kernel with elevated privileges. The malware loads a file that gives it rootkit-like powers, hiding its files and processes from the user by interfering with the system calls used to list directory contents, and it even checks for active debuggers to detect if someone's investigating it. An important nuance here, because some early coverage overstated this. The rootkit component is optional. It only loads if the malware already has root and it isn't used to gain access in the first place. So this isn't every install gives an attacker root. It's if you build AUR packages with elevated privileges or it later gets root some other way, it has a stealth layer ready to go. As for what it's actually after, credential theft covering Discord tokens, GitHub personal access tokens, NPM tokens, Slack and Teams, Microsoft 365 sessions, SSH keys, Vault tokens, Docker, Podman, browser cookies. Exfiltration goes out over HTTP to a public file sharing service with command and control run through a Tor onion service. This is a developer credential harvesting operation, full stop. It's built for people with SSH keys and CI tokens lying around, which if you're an Arch user building from AUR, just might be you. Now the part that matters most for not panicking. Arch's official repositories, core, extra, and multilib, were never touched. Those go through a much stricter review process. If you only run pacman-syu and never touch the AUR, you were not exposed by this. This is specifically an AUR problem, and it's worth saying clearly, that includes Arch derivatives. The real exposure fell on people using the AUR directly, especially users of Arch-based distros, where graphical package managers can make installing a community package feel as casual as adding a browser extension. So CachyOS, Manjaro, and EndeavorOS users, this applies to you too if you've touched AUR packages recently. To Arch's credit, the response was fast and transparent. A developer opened a dedicated thread on the AUR general mailing list the same day, asking the community to report compromised packages, followed the next day by that official news post. Then on June 15th, the Arch team disabled new account registration on the AUR entirely while they worked through cleanup. If you tried to register a new AUR account during this window, you would have hit a 503 error on the registration page. That's a blunt instrument, but it makes sense. Shut off new accounts so attackers can't just spin up fresh identities to keep adopting packages while the cleanup is happening. One more thing I want to flag because it's an easy thing to get confused about if you're reading multiple sources on this. There's also a separate unrelated incident floating around in some package trackers, a spam campaign that injected offensive messages into shell startup files on about 144 packages. That one is not weaponized, not part of Atomic Arch, and shouldn't be conflated with the credential stealing malware we're talking about here. Different attack, different attackers, basically harmless by comparison. Here's what to actually do. I'm not going to read out a giant list of package names on camera because that list literally changed multiple times in 4 days. By the time you're watching this, it may be out of date. Instead, here's the process. First, figure out what you've actually got installed from the AUR. Go pacman-QM. That lists every foreign package, anything not from the official repos. That's your AUR footprint. Second, cross-reference it against a maintained compromised list. There are a couple of community tools for this, and I'll link them in the description, that compare your installed packages against the known bad list and flag matches automatically. Third, if you want to check manually, grep your build logs and caches for the node markers, and I'll put that on the screen here. Fourth, if anything flags, don't just delete the package and move on. Treat any confirmed execution of an affected package as a full host compromise. That means rotating your SSH keys, GitHub, and NPM tokens, Discord and Slack sessions, and any cloud credentials that were reachable from that machine. If the package was built with root privileges, lean toward reimaging the system rather than trying to clean it in place because of that rootkit component we talked about. Yeah, it's annoying, but annoying credential rotation beats someone sitting on your GitHub token for 6 months. Step back from this one incident for a second because the actual lesson isn't AUR bad. The AUR is genuinely one of the best things about the Arch ecosystem. It's why Arch has software nothing else does. The lesson is about the trust model, a repository that trusts a package's name and history over who's actually maintaining it today doesn't really have a patch for that. Just a decision about how long the open door stays open. And this fits a broader pattern in 2026. Attackers increasingly hijacking orphaned trusted projects instead of typo squatting brand new ones because an established package with years of stars and installs is a much better disguise than a fake one. The practical takeaway, before you build anything from the AUR, especially something that just changed maintainers, actually open the package build and read it. Yes, every time. It's a text file, not a binary. You can read it in 30 seconds, and 30 seconds is cheaper than reinstalling your entire operating system. If this was useful, the detection scripts and sources are linked below. Hit subscribe if you want me to follow up when the post-mortem comes out, and if anything changes with the package list, I'll pin an update in the comments. Also, let me know if you were affected by this in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.